Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're putting on our senior consultant hats to look at a massive, literally game-changing dilemma in the research world. Think about it. AI is an absolute superpower right now. Let's say you're a social scientist, tasked with coding hundreds of interview transcripts for underlying themes. What used to take weeks, maybe even months of grueling manual labor, boom, done in a single afternoon. It completely frees up your brain to actually interpret patterns and build theory. AI is amazing, no doubt, but here's the massive catch we need to audit today. Access to this superpower, it's definitely not equal across the globe.
So, that brings us to a really provocative question. Is AI democratizing science, or is it actually dividing it? We always kind of assume that new tech automatically levels the playing field, right? That it makes information and capabilities universally accessible. But what if the exact opposite is happening? What if our absolute best, most cutting-edge tools are basically creating an exclusive VIP club and locking out some of the most brilliant minds simply because they can't afford the cover charge?
To really grasp how severe this is, let's look at two totally different realities. On one side, you've got the resourced researcher. They're likely at a well-funded, high-income institution. We're talking unlimited access to premium subscriptions, blazing fast internet, and software that's perfectly optimized for their native English. Now, flip the coin. Meet the under-resourced researcher. They might be working in a lower-income country or a struggling institution. They hit paywalls instantly. They deal with unreliable electricity, which makes real-time cloud AI literally impossible. And they get way worse performance simply because they're working in a language other than English. This right here? This is the central conflict of the modern digital divide.
All right, Section 1, the barriers to access. Let's dig into what's actually causing this. $5,000. Yeah, you heard that right. That can be the staggering annual cost for just one premium enterprise AI tool. This massive financial wall immediately aggressively filters out individual researchers, early career academics, and practically any underfunded institution. Think about it from a consulting perspective. If your research methodology absolutely relies on a tool that expensive, you've essentially decided that only the absolute wealthiest institutions even get a seat at the table.
And honestly, cost is just the tip of the iceberg. There are four distinct systemic barriers we're dealing with here. First, those financial costs we just talked about. Second, technical requirements. If you don't know how to code, you're often totally locked out of the advanced stuff. Third, language limitations. Let's face it, most high-end AI is heavily English-centric. If you aren't an English speaker, you're getting a degraded product. And finally, geographic constraints. We're talking about institutional firewalls or just a flat-out lack of internet infrastructure that blocks cloud-based AI completely.
Moving on to Section 2, how inequity hurts science. Because this isn't just a tech problem. This exclusion carries a massive cost for all of us. Research in under-resourced settings literally slows to a crawl because they just can't use the same tools their wealthy colleagues take for granted. This leads to a really dangerous concentration of scientific knowledge right at the top. But here's the absolute fatal blow to the scientific method itself: the inability to replicate work. If your groundbreaking paper requires a ridiculously expensive proprietary tool, your colleagues around the world simply cannot verify your results. Ultimately, we completely lose out on diverse global perspectives.
Because the core truth is this: science is undeniably better when more voices contribute. By denying creative researchers these tools, we are wasting incredible potential. And our sources point out a pretty tragic irony here. Researchers with limited resources often come up with the most innovative workarounds. But when we systematically exclude them, better problems don't get studied, and vital, life-changing questions go completely unanswered.
Okay, let's pivot to Section 3, the open source solution. How do we actually fix this? Let's compare our options side by side. On one hand, you have premium proprietary tools like ChatGPT+ or expensive statistical software. They cost a fortune, their data practices are totally closed off and unclear, and they demand a rock-solid, real-time internet connection. But on the flip side, we have open-source tools. Think Hugging Face models, Llama, or free software like Python. These are free or super low cost. Their code is transparent and, absolutely crucial for global access, many of these can run locally on your own machine, entirely offline. No high-speed internet required at all. This brings us to a really vital concept: data practice equity. Think of this as essential risk management. If you are researching, say, human rights violations or working closely with vulnerable indigenous communities, you absolutely cannot just dump sensitive data into a proprietary AI black box where you have zero idea if that data will be used to train future models. Open source tools give you the transparent code and clear practices you need to ensure you're doing ethical research safely.
So, Section 4, designing accessible research.
Let's put this into practice. Imagine you're designing a collaborative AI project from scratch. You're auditing your tool options. Option A is a $5,000 a year proprietary powerhouse. It's super polished. Then there's option C, a free academic version of a tool that has great multilingual support and runs totally offline. A truly equitable team is going to deliberately choose option C. Why? Because it guarantees their methodology is accessible to researchers anywhere in the world. You are actively prioritizing global inclusion over a slightly shinier user interface.
When you're handling international collaborations, best practice dictates that we build capacity, we don't just extract knowledge. That means you purposefully use affordable tools your partners can actually access. It means running technical training sessions so they can level up their skills. Now, if you absolutely must use a premium tool for one specific task, make sure you provide the raw outputs to your partners so they can still work with the resulting data. And please, always acknowledge these different access levels openly in your published work.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, your Equity Action Plan. Here is your quick consultant's checklist to start making a real impact today. Step 1, inventory your current AI tools. Really ask yourself, who is being excluded by the choices I'm making? Step 2, identify open source alternatives. If you rely on a premium language model, just see how a free one stacks up. Step 3, document your methods so they can be adapted. And step 4, actively support open source projects, whether that's contributing code, writing documentation, or just shouting them out in your research.
Let's pause on that third step for a second, because it is so incredibly important. When you publish your work, you need to describe your methods in general, adaptable terms. Don't just say, oh, we use tool X, and leave it there. Explain the underlying logic. Share your prompting strategies. Give your colleagues at an underfunded university the blueprint they need to replicate your brilliant work using totally different, freely available tools. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful summary from our sources. It says, "Science is better when more voices contribute. Use AI in ways that expand research possibilities, rather than concentrating them among well-resourced researchers." Listen, if you have the privilege of premium access, solid coding skills, and high-speed internet, it is your professional responsibility to use that privilege to democratize knowledge, not hoard it.
Which leads me to my final challenge for you today. What is the one insight from this explainer on AI equity that surprised you the most? And honestly, more importantly, how are you going to use it to change your workflow going forward? The next time you set up a project, I really hope you make choices that invite the whole world to participate. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.